clients are looking for certification, and to get access to the premium market, you should be certified. For example, in Germany, Natural is something very important. Of course, BRC certification is the key point, but having Natural for German market give you a better chance to market your products. And it's more or less the same thing to the premium market, you should be certified in other countries. So that's why we invest a lot. In Germany, Natural is something very important.
And this gives market access, but I think certification doesn't just sell the cashews. There needs to be more than that.
BRC certification is
when you talk
point.
to a new customer, what would be your key, if I was talking to a new customer and I wanted to understand how to communicate with them, what would be the main factors that you would highlight as to how I should communicate with the customer?
Are looking for a better chance certification.
I think
to market your products.
We're not hearing you, Philippe.
You see, what I understood from my clients is, for most of my clients, is that they are. Can you hear me now? And
yes,
it's more or less the same thing to the premium. Can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
Your market, you should be certified. So, for example, country. So that's why for my client is they are looking for they would like to see our whole supply chains. We invest a lot. In Germany, Natural is something very important. And this is the traceability. So we are trying to show
gives market access, but I think certification doesn't just sell the cashews. There needs to be more than
white kernel. Certification is
when you talk to
so for us, the traceability from the farmers to the factory first is really
the customer.
important.
What would be your key? If I was talking to interesting.
So we are
customer. And I wanted to understand how to communicate with them.
And when our
what would be the main factors that you would highlight as to how I should communicate with the customer?
With them and to show them what happens in the bush, what is the big challenges from the farmer side. So this is really, really, really important for our clients.
And this supports your point about the African identity, that it's a whole supply chain.
Are looking for exactly.
So what I hear from you is that I think we're not hearing to your customers that this is an important factor. I think maybe we lost
what I understand.
Philippe. Philippe, it's not a great connection. We're not hearing you very well right now.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, that's better. We can hear you again.
Okay.
You were I was saying that what I hear from you is that you listen to your clients, first of all, that the full supply chain approach supports the African identity, which you mentioned. And I was asking you about we're talking about communication. I was saying, what are the key factors? And what I get from you is listening to your customer first is a key factor, rather than just telling them, listening to them. But what if I were to, if I was working for you and I was starting to make some sales calls, what would be the key communication factors that you would highlight for me?
I think The key point, you see, as we are in the sales and export department, as we are in the end of the, the, the process, it's very important for our client to see that the team, the export team and the sales team are very professional. So keeping a good relation, be in touch with the client during the whole shipping process is very important. Give them all information about uh, the shipment, the goods is something very important, and the reliability. I would say the reliability. We should keep our promise. If you say to your client that the product will be sent during the month of August or September, you should do your best to ship the product in August or September. In case of any issues, you must inform your client. You must inform the client to help him to to adapt his own process. So be in touch with them and having a very strong export teams is one of the key points for me.
Yeah,
So we need to show to the client that we are very professional.
I think that the word that you've used, professionalism and showing professionalism, is a really key factor. And certainly, as I used to buy a lot of cashews, it's going back a few years now, but I wish I would have had someone who would regularly update me on shipments, would be reliable on shipments, and would be in contact. This, I think, this managing the relationship is really what we're talking about, and I think you make very well made points on this. So I'm going to just to summarize what you're saying. I think certification and more importantly compliance. That what I hear from you is that certification isn't just a piece of paper. It's the word compliance is important. Good communication and professionalism, essential factors,
Yeah.
and being reliable as part of that. Traceability and identity. And I think these are
Yeah.
really interesting factors. And in a way, it reflects some of the things that James Mulhall was saying to us a few minutes ago around about finding the right customers, managing the customer relationships. What we're seeing here is two people who are very experienced in selling African cashews and focus highly on relationships, but also on compliance with customers' requirements. But as James said, and very rightly, I think as well, it comes through with what Philippe's been saying too, is that the customer must have a certain amount, have a certain function also for the business, so that not all cashews are, Naturland certified or WW180s. You've all kinds of grades to sell, and you've all kinds of certifications. Philippe, that's really interesting. We're going to come back to you, so stay with us. But I'd like to move now to Nigeria and Daniel Gamana, the founder and CEO of Vertex Agro. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Mr. Jim.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. And you?
Yeah, I'm well. I realize when I see you now that we have met. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure if we had met, but now I see you and I remember you very well.
couple of times.
Thank you very much for joining us. What's your take on this question? What do you think are the most important factors for success in selling African cashew kernels?
Yeah, once again, thank you. And thanks for everybody. Yeah, just like my colleagues have mentioned the issue of certification and compliance. The one important thing in Africa is that the European market, both the European market and the American market, they are aware that African cashew is just coming up. And a lot of the buyers are interested in being stakeholders in the African cashew market and the business. I mean, so one important thing they're looking for is people who are transparent, companies, factories that are transparent. So transparency is very, very key to get a customer that is able to hold on to you for a very long time, and a customer that is to stick in your business, a customer that is ready to, not just buy from you, but to make sure that you are projected both in Europe and in America. So, certifications, important compliance, but transparency is very key. Now, just like you said in your presentations, a lot of laws are coming up in the US and the UK, in EU on ESG. So the African processors stand a better chance in that we have a direct linkage to our farmers, direct linkage to the fields. Traceability is so easy, and these are key selling points in most of the superior supermarkets. This gives us premium price. So if you're able to project your factory or company, your product as a product that is compliant with the ESG requirements, that gives you a premium price, and that gives you a lot of advantage over your counterparts in other countries. These issues are becoming more and more important every day. And so we cannot compare, Africa cannot compete India and Vietnam on the cost of production. We have to look for other ways of making our products a premium product instead of being a commodity. And one of them is just the story behind our products. So for us, we have very beautiful stories backed up with pictures and photos. And these give a lot of access to some premium markets in both Europe and in the US. I think these are the things we do in addition to what our colleagues have enumerated. Thank you.
Yeah, Daniel, it's really interesting what you're saying. I particularly like the way you're talking about the buyers want to become stakeholders in the sector. I think that's a really key thing. And it's something that's fairly common in other value chains, but can only be possible in cashews for origin processed cashews, which today is African cashews. Also, I love your point about the story and the storytelling. This is so in line with modern marketing trends, and it fits very well. So I think what we're seeing here is from our three speakers is that we're seeing not only do you have to be in line with the technical requirements, Daniel, Philippe, and James have all mentioned about certification and compliance, but also to have a marketing approach and a marketing story that gives life to your ability to be competitive. And I think Daniel's point about not competing simply on price, because that's just not going to work, at least it's not going to work for now, maybe in the future, is a key point. So really, I think probably all three of our guests have been told by a customer at one time or another that their price is higher than Vietnamese cashews, and they've been asked to mark their prices down. The answer to that is not to mark the price down, it's to highlight the competitive advantages. Very interesting contributions. Thank you to all three. Let's see if there are any questions. So let's go over to Isaac and see if there are any questions for our guests. Isaac.
Yes, Jim, thank you for the presentation, and thanks to our guests for very insightful contributions to today's discussion. We have a few comments and I think one question. We take them, you share your views on them when necessary. The first comment says Tanzania and Guinea-Bissau, higher RCN quality, higher price, chased by Indian RCN importers. Processors compete with Indians at procurement level and with Vietnamese and Ivorian processors at kernel export market level. they are so squeezed. What do you say about this?
Let's put that to James. James, do you feel squeezed?
Indeed. Yes, our biggest competition, Indian cashew industry, is a closed market. You pay a higher price for Indian kernels than anywhere else in the world, and as a result, and also it is good quality and it's premium market, and the Indian buyers of RCN can then afford to pay a higher price for cashews that we would like to buy, RCN that we would like to buy. So yeah, definitely we get squeezed. That's our biggest challenge, is not even the Vietnamese as much as the Indian market, because they're looking for premium cashews and can pay a premium price. That's definitely. And in West Africa, they have created policies of delaying or having a good period for processors to buy cashews, and that would need to improve in Tanzania in order for us to protect the cashew processing. So yeah, feel squeezed for sure.
Interesting. Daniel, let's come to you. I'll come to Philippe on another question, but Daniel, do you feel squeezed by this competition from RCN export? How does that work in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think the situation is actually worse in Nigeria because until now, we don't have a policy like other African countries have. And so right at the beginning of the season, because India offers better price for kernel than anywhere in the world, we cannot compete in buying the RCN with them. So, but recently we held, I think last month, we had a meeting and we did a validation of our policy. And with that validation, we'll have to calculate some difference and put in some export tax for RCN. Otherwise, no Nigerian factory is able to compete right now.
So there will be changes in policy in Nigeria, you feel?
Most likely, because we had, I'm the national president for the cashew processors, and we had a meeting. Actually, we expected you to that meeting, but unfortunately, we didn't see you. Mr. Shakti was there, and we spent 2 days deliberating with the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Ministry of Agriculture. The ministers were there, and we brought up a policy, which I think we expect it to be implemented by this season. So that will give us some relief. Otherwise, it has been really tough.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see which how the roadmap goes. I didn't attend that. I was actually, I believe, in Cambodia that week, but such is life.
Yeah.
Interesting though that the situation in Nigeria is even more difficult from what you're saying than in Tanzania. So
Sure.
an export tax would be some form of protection. Do you see, or do you expect any other policy changes to support processing in Nigeria?
Yeah, so that already there is a government policy, though not implemented, that every commodity must add at least 30% value before export. So in the policy we proposed, we will calculate the difference in the advantage they have, other countries have over Nigeria in processing. That advantage will form the import tax, export tax, I mean, for RCN. Then, like other countries also, the first 1 or 2 months, there'll be ban on RCN export until the local processors are able to buy. So these, and then the funds realized from the export will be used to support the producers and maybe processors. This is likely going to happen.
It's interesting. So it would mean something of a harmonization of policy with other West African countries. Of course, as we know, always the challenges in the implementation, isn't it? I mean, this is the big challenge for governments and regulators.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Isaac and see if we have. I think there's a question there about smallholders. Isaac, what have we got?
Yes, a bright future for smallholders through African processes. local processors cannot always pay the price that RCN exporters are offering, especially in origins where they compete with Indian RCN importers. Example, Togo, Tanzania, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau.
Okay, that's a valid remark. Let's come to Philippe. I mean, how does Cashew Coast manage this? How does Cashew Coast manage to pay farmers an attractive price that keeps them with you? You spoke about traceability, African identity, and the supply chain has been important. How does Cashew Coast manage that? And what part does the marketing and sales play in that?
Yeah. You see, Jim, with our farmers, we are we are working as the same teams, and we are trying to build a long-term relations with them. So that's why we are buying the government price. So we don't buy under the government price. So we keep the government price, even if the market is low, or yeah, we try to keep the government price with them and to avoid buying raw cashew nuts at lower price. So this is something we do with our farmers. For example, 2 3 years ago, we bought the product at the government price, even if the market was unstable, lower the price that we heard from some of the traders. So yeah, well, so this is what we are trying to do, and we are trying to build a very very good relation. We don't work with them uh what do you say, just a sport buying. No, we are working like a team. So working like a team means be with them, buying the whole cashew nuts at the minimum, not under, and try to help them promote other products. We know very well that the farmers don't produce only cashew, but also uh, curcuma, and anything like that, for example. So we try to buy this and take uh, so this is what we are trying to do with them. So it's very, very sure that all moments. So we are working directly with them. We work with more than 17,000 farmers at the moment.
Wow.
So we have a very good relation with them, and we know all of them. We know exactly all of them, and we have all information about all of our farmers in our SAP system. And if you came in the factory, you can check in our bags at which price you can compare at the not for our clients, so they can see if Cashew course is doing incorrectly, or if course is doing what they said. So it's very transparency between us and our farmers and us and our clients.
Okay, I presume that makes the selling job a little bit more straightforward, a little bit easier, because you can talk about genuine traceability.
Exactly.
And customers see the advantage of having that connection with the farmers, do they?
Yes, and they are also open to invest on our supply chains, on our supply chain. So we have many sustainability project with our farmers. So they are with us. It's not bad. Uh, on us, and they are ready to better supply chains.
Okay. It's I think it's a unique approach that Cashew Coast has. I'd love to talk to our other speakers on that subject, but just keeping an eye on the time, let's continue. Let's go back to Isaac and see what other questions are there. Isaac.
I think you are on mute.
Oh, very sorry about that. A question on how African processors, to what extent they can compete with Vietnamese processors, considering that even they are able to export very large volumes to the European Union, even without providing any traceability so far.
Okay. How are you going to compete with Vietnam? Daniel, what do you think?
Well, the issue is what we're working for farmers is not about the price, about income. The Vietnamese buyer comes to buy the cashew, the RCN, we never see him again. The African processor is working with the farmer to increase the production. What we are thinking here in Nigeria with this policy in place is how we can double the yield per hectare within the next 3, 4, 5 years. If the yield per hectare is doubled, and even though we're not able to offer the price the Vietnamese are buying, the farmers' income will increase. Not only that, whatever incentive we are getting as taxes, we're plowing this back to the farmers. So the farmer is not actually losing